Hi everyone, this is BDevine. I hope that you are awesome wherever you are. If not, I hope that this video will help you. And this is called Breaking the Loop. This is flame tools for when old stories come back. And many of us have been triggered, especially when it's holiday time, okay? Who hasn't called, who still doesn't talk, or problems start to arise and you start getting set back into some of your old stuff, okay? So today we're going to go through this. We're going to understand, why these loops are flaring and why it's not failing, okay? Recognizing the difference between your old script and your current self. What have you actually changed here, okay? Because if our job is to understand mastery of the self, that means that you eventually get to a point where it does not matter what is coming up for you, that you find a way out of it, not a way to complain or vocalize all these issues that are happening with you. Instead, that you're taking your power back instead of falling for all of those old patterns, all of those old stresses. You're here to master yourself. And everything that you do, and everything that you're thinking, and everything that you're saying, this is why it takes a little bit of time, obviously, because stuff comes up unexpectedly, side blows, things that you're being blindsided, things that you weren't expecting, feelings that you weren't expecting, people that you weren't expecting, memories that you weren't expecting, okay? So we're going to recognize this difference between the old script and the current self, okay? And, a self-check sort of thing for you as well. So right now, the field is pressing on this unresolved contracts and old roles. Part of this is because we have already done so much more work than you think that we've done as a collective, okay? And doing this work causes a reaction. That's just what happens. So the field is pressing on these unresolved contracts and old roles. People are pulling up old conversations, repeating old accusations, or carrying on with the same drama, acting like you're still in 2015 or 2010, that version of you. And some people remember me as a kid, or remember me as in my early 20s when I first had kids, and I wish that wouldn't happen, because or to stop remembering me that way, because it's a lifetime ago. In fact, it's so far away from my now, right? I'm a completely different person. And so when people see you how they have always seen you, that's how they try to manipulate, is to pull you into some kind of emotion or paint a picture of you that's very old, okay? This is also that there is a script trying to reload. So before we go any further, let's put our flame on, okay? So we have our white gold flame 360 degrees all the way around us. Put it through your family, your animals, your gardens, your trees. You can put it wherever you would like there to be extra protection, help, support. This goes into the earth as well, and up into the universes and dimensions, past lives, future lives, and the now, okay? On the inner level of this is a blue starlight shield, okay? This is a fire shield to, as you're releasing stuff, it's healing it, right? So this is working. This is making sure there are repairs done as you're moving along. And on the outside of both of these is your chrome mirror flame wall. You can use this as a literal mirror. You can use it as just chrome shiny silver. You can, whatever way you want. I like to do it in multiple diamond shaped mirrors as well. sort of like it's an armor, and this is your discernment flame. You bring things up to this mirror. You check in with yourself. It also removes distortions out of the way, but it cannot stop your free will from then looping into something, right? Or whatever. But you've got to learn to use these things, put your flame on. It starts working immediately, but it does mean that you have to check in with yourself as well. So, an old loop is knocking at you, okay? Every time you grew, some people did not update a picture of you, like I was just saying. As the energy tightens, the old pictures are getting louder. The loop wants you to over-explain, defend yourself, fix everyone's problems, and collapse back into an old helpless version of yourself. Stressed out, overthinking, overdoing, overgiving, overextending, not sleeping, going into nightmares, complaining about stuff in your body, stuff's happening in your body, old pains, something's coming back, blah, blah, rah, 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 right? So your flame wants you to stay present, to breathe, to answer from the who you are now, not who you were then, okay? A loop, I'm going to explain how this works, okay? A loop has 3 parts. Oops, sorry. The trigger, okay, which is a message, a memory, a tone of voice, a social media post, someone's BS. There it is, in your face again. Your body says, oh God, here we go again. Oh, right? The script says, old thoughts load. I always have to fix this. They never understand me. I must have done something wrong. You're no longer in today, you're in the rerun. Okay, so the script, old thoughts load. You see the post, you see the person, you see the message, you hear the phone call, whatever it is. You go into the old role. I gotta fix it. They're not getting it. They're not listening. They're not understanding. The frustration kicks in, and then it goes into self-blame, right, in some way. This is the rerun, okay? The third part of the loop is the response. Over-explaining, as I said, apologizing, spiraling, rehearsing speeches in your head. The nervous system goes into fight, flight, freeze, fawn, okay? The loop gets stronger. See those 3 parts? The trigger, the script, the response. You do not have to stop the trigger from happening. You only need to change what happens after the trigger. That's where the breath and the flame protocol start to come in. The more that you are catching yourself in these old habits, the more mastery you gain, the less and less and less it happens. Things that I laugh about now, I would have been panicked and stressed about years ago, right? Just like anybody else. As I've been going along this journey, everything and pretty much everyone in my old circles was coming up all of the time. There were things in my way. There were things stopping the flow. There were money issues. There was just never enough. There's always going out, never coming in. I was frustrated with other people who give false information, okay, just absolute BS to you, and everyone was going, right? I really had to work on my inner frustration with why the world was so caught up in these fantasies instead of someone that's truly, like, literally here in your face, giving you the truth, right? Why would people get so caught up in all of these big, massive stories and go and do it, and you know, wear the white linen and abstain from contacting people, and just like ridiculous big long journeys that are unnecessary for you. So I've been constantly working on my own reactions to what felt like an abundance of rejection and continue to keep coming at you, right? I have known people who couldn't even last 6 weeks doing spiritual work online without quitting. Or when they're doing it, it's sporadic or just a little bit, or all of their problems are online, or you know, you can hear all kinds of things going on. There's a lot of swearing, and you know, of course everyone can swear. I don't care. Obviously I do. But I believe in professionalism when you're speaking as well, and there's a time and place for that kind of stuff. You know, hardly any clothes or whatever it is, and not maintaining what they're actually saying either. And that looping pattern for me would go into this worthiness thing. What can I do? Okay. What can I do to change this? And the biggest thing that happened to me was saying it actually is nothing I have to do. The system is designed to lull people into false security. And once they've got you in that false security, okay, you're just dropped and dismissed, so that people's energy is always wanting and then rejection, and wanting and rejection. I feel a part of it and now I'm not, right? And so this up and down, okay, creates a dependency on someone who might have the answers or might know or whatever. But they never know. So the old spiritual ways that were happening, not through everybody, but the general consensus, especially if we're talking about people who are very famous with it or whatever, is this kind of thing, okay? And if you're not being taught your own mastery, which is what the key message of the Temple of the Flame is, what this is for me, BDevine, right? BDevine is created by my nickname, okay? So my actual name is Rebecca Devine, okay? You can look me up anywhere, whatever, right? I go by Becky. I don't like being called Rebecca. There used to be someone that always did it in the comments, and I'm just like, no, I don't like being called Rebecca. That's my choice, okay? It's B or it's Becky, okay? I don't go by Beck either. And that's the, 2010 version of me or whatever. From Australians generally call me Beck, no matter what. They don't care. But it's just a preference. It's not something I really care about, right? But the reason that it was shortened to BDevine was for everyone to understand to be divine. It was actually action in the word, right? So, when you are focusing yourself on the direction that you truly want to be and what you're actually trying to give to this world, right? You have to maintain it no matter what, and just continue to be divine or continue to keep going, right? The problem happens when somebody or something tries to knock you off of balance. As I was saying, people go on about the past, or they're always having a problem. I can't stand that anymore, right? So unless you're working with me personally, obviously, my goal is like, let's get through it, tell me all about it, right? That's different. But if the constant narrative is constantly just drama and complaints and sore body parts and I just can't deal with it. It's a switch off. It's a delete and block for me, right? So when we're doing this, we have to change what happens when someone triggers our insecurity that we thought we'd healed, or our rejection that we thought we got rid of, right? Now, for me, all of that chasing, all of that stressing or trying to prove myself is gone. I simply don't care. This is about ignition. So if you resonate or ignite with what I'm saying, that's all that's required. I don't need to know. I don't need to check up. I don't need to get annoyed if I'm not hearing from any. I don't care, right? This is what it is. I know also many spiritual people that get really annoyed if they're not receiving feedback. The news flash is, no news is good news. So leave it at that, you know. Otherwise, you're asking for trouble. Also, people put, what do you call it, testimonials and stuff on their, big posts about what people have said about them. And like, who cares? You know, so what, people will find out, or they'll look at your website and find it on there. So, you know, we change what's important to us. So the override protocol for this, okay, here we go. Notice, that's step one. And say, I'm in a loop. Call it out. No shame, no drama. Just naming it brings you back to the now. Number two, name the script. What is this old story trying to make me be? The fixer? The quiet one? The villain? The broken one? The healer? The guide? What is this old story trying to make me be? The counselor? The middleman? The person who heals everything and takes on the responsibility? Is this making me feel like I have to do it because nobody else really can? Right? Is this making me feel like I've been abandoned by God, or I'm being punished, or no one's listening to my manifestation prayers? Oh, I've got something coming in, so this must mean that it doesn't work. Okay? So what you do is you confront it in this way. This is the old script where I am, and you can name the role. I'm the caretaker. I'm the healer. I'm the fixer. I'm the quiet one. I'm the bad one. I'm the broken one. And you simply say, I don't play that role anymore. Then you breathe differently. So we're going to use a loop override breath. Okay? This will be coming up in a minute. But after the breathing, you say to yourself, what would my current self do instead? Not respond right away? Set a boundary? Say less, walk away? Change the subject? Delete? No. No's the answer, no. The breath interrupts the nervous system pattern so that the choice is actually available. So let's do this breath technique. This is not for people who are in late stage pregnancy, serious heart or lung conditions, uncontrolled high blood pressure, or fainting episodes with breath work. If dizzy or nauseous, just stop and breathe normally. Drink water, ground. Always have, it's a really good practice. Just have a smoky and have something clear in the other hand. Why do you think that is? You're grounded and you're connected. Okay? I'm going with a double grounding, so I am choosing a golden obsidian. It's a tiny little piece, and this smoky quartz tumble. Okay. Okay, so phase one, let's break the loop. Feet on the floor, okay? Shake out your hands just for a minute. Here's the loop cut. So you inhale through the nose for 4 and exhale through the mouth like blowing out a candle. Okay, inhale, exhale. Excuse me. It's hard when you're doing that. Okay, inhale, exhale. Imagine cutting a thread in front of you. As you exhale, you can say no. Okay, imagine cutting the thread. Okay, then a shoulder drop breath. So you inhale for 4, lifting your shoulders slightly. Exhale through the mouth for 6, dropping them heavily. Not this time is what you say. Okay, in for 4. Lift your shoulders, exhale and drop them heavily. Not this time. Let's do it one more time. In for 4. Lift your shoulders. Exhale for 6, dropping your shoulders heavily. Not this time. This tells your nervous system we're not going into the usual spiral. Okay. Now we bring the flame back into the body where the loop can't run the show. So we place one hand on the belly, one on the heart, okay? And as we inhale the nose, we're going to feel the belly expand. Hold for 4. Imagine a small flame growing in the belly. Exhale for 6. Imagine smoke leaving your head and chest. Okay. Hand on the belly, one on the heart. Inhale through the nose. Feel the belly expand. Hold. Imagine a small flame growing in your belly. Exhale. Imagine smoke leaving your head and chest. Yeah, you could do this one for 8 or 10 breaths, right? We're going to do it one more time for us. Okay. One on the belly, one on the heart. Inhale through the nose for 4. Expand the belly. Hold for 4. Imagine a small flame growing here. Exhale for 6. Imagine smoke leaving your head and chest. This is very calming. You should feel it. On the hold action, you could say something to yourself like, my flame is mine. I do not belong to this story. I'm here. Okay? You could be saying things on an inner level that reinforce strength. Okay? If you feel heat or tingling or emotions rising, this is normal. Okay? You're reclaiming energy the loop was actually using. Okay. Now we're going to do a script rewrite. The body's calmer. You should feel it. We're going to lock in the new pattern. So we inhale for 4 and we exhale through the nose for 6. When you exhale through the nose, it is a little difficult. Try not to do it too hard. Just gently let it come for this one. So in for 4, out for 6. 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 One more time. In for 4, out for 6. Now we say, I withdraw my flame from this loop. You say it. I remain in the present timeline. I answer as who I am now. Now, imagine an old scene fading like a TV screen being turned off. Old scene fading like a TV screen being turned off. Chunk. Imagine a clean, brighter version of you stepping forward right now. You might be happy, right? This is the moment you make your new choice. Put the phone down, delay replying, change the subject, choose silence instead of explaining, choose a short, clean answer instead of a long defense. I am telling you now, if someone has a big, long, massive story for you about why something happened, it's BS. Okay? This is the answer normally. No, this happened. That's what I'm going to tell you, and that's the end. Someone goes, look, it was like this, and go, and then this happened. Okay? And if you don't know whether someone's telling you the truth and they've given you this big, long-winded explanation, tell them to start from the end and go back to the beginning of the story then. See if they can. I doubt it. Short, clean answers. Anyone who defends themselves in a very, very long and boring and over-the-top way is lying, okay? Full of it. Okay. So that's that. You're not going crazy. Loops flare, and they're flaring everywhere right now. This is in direct response to the flame work. Good. Okay? Acknowledge that old things might be resurfacing, old stress, old situations. Someone trying to draw you into their stress as well. So we have the trigger, the script, the response, okay? From the flame perspective, we have the old script versus the current self. You're not required to play these old roles anymore. No explanation needed. No. You want to calm down? No. Sorry. We always feel like we have to come up with a reason why we're saying no as well. For years, if someone, I had to reschedule or something, I'd say, look, I'm really sorry about this, but I have to reschedule because of A, B, C, D, E, F, G reasons, which were all valid because I hardly ever reschedule, right? And I'm like, now I'm just like, sorry, I have to reschedule. Is Monday or Tuesday okay? There's no need to give a reason. It is enough that you actually need to reschedule. It's nobody's business why, right? For example, okay, bring to mind your situation while you're taking your breath. You're doing your breathing techniques. You're bringing things to mind, the situation, what you're changing about it, etc. And asking yourself, well, what do you want to do? How do you really want to handle this? Are you coddling to someone? Are you making someone else feel better? Do you really want to do this, right? So, make one small change. Respond later, say no or say less. So, use this protocol at least once in the next 48 hours if a loop comes up, okay? And you could use this as a little bit of a journaling or an integration for yourself. And here's some things for you to write down. So if you haven't got a pen or paper, just pause this or your phone or put something on your phone as a note. The first thing that you could think about is, what is one loop that still tries to claim me? Always justifying myself, always fixing others, feeling responsible, getting myself in despair, getting myself worried, getting myself stressed, someone annoying me. What is it? Okay? Or you're always taking the blame. Part 2, or question 2. What role does that loop assign me? What role does that loop assign me? The victim, the fixer, the villain, the invisible one, the black sheep. What does it do for you? What does it assign to you? The third question to ask yourself, who am I now compared to the first time that loop formed? Right? List the actual differences. How old were you when this all first started happening? How much more wise are you now? What tools and awareness do you have that you didn't have then? Who were you? Where were you living when you first encountered this person? Okay, so who are you now compared to then? Question 4. What is the new micro action you commit to next time the loop appears? So for example, I'm just going to take 3 flame anchor breaths before replying, right? I am the flame. I ignite. I rise, right? So whatever it is. And then see whether you're going to do the same thing. How does your body feel when you say, I don't belong to this story anymore, right? Hang on just a minute. So the biggest thing to remember is that you're actually doing some pretty powerful work when these things come up into your life to try to trigger you into your old life, to try to, divert your path, okay? On a flame perspective, so in psychology, they will call it a pattern or a trauma response, okay, or a trigger. We kind of called it a trigger as well. And from this flame perspective, this loop is an unresolved energetic script that keeps replaying until either the lesson is integrated or the person chooses a new flame aligned response. So a psychologist would also ask you to think about the way that you've, like I was talking to you there, think about the way you always tend to respond to something when it comes up, and understand that feeling before you make a decision to react badly, right? Understand that little bit of feeling, because that little bit of feeling that you have results in either oversensitivity, an outburst, losing your temper, saying something that you regret, or in those cases, or crying, or feeling like you're abandoned or feeling rejected. So there's this little time before the reaction that you would learn to refocus. Many people don't, but here it is anyway, right? So in our thing, what we're doing is we're understanding that it will continue to do this to us until we integrate the lesson and fully trust, believe, move forward from it. So it always has this starting wound or event. It always has a role that it wants you to play, okay? It does have a reward in it as well, where there's attention or familiarity or an illusion of safety, or just feeling a little bit better that you might be doing something right. But it has this energetic collector as well. So behind it, it can have this mimic architecture, shadow earth grid energy. I'll explain the shadow earth in another time. Or ancestral familial contracts. A loop is never just a mental loop, okay? It sits in the nervous system, the emotional body, the astral script room around you. This is why just having an affirmation alone is not going to break it. There needs to be a restructure of how you deal with something in these levels. And this is why we are resetting our nervous system so much with the breathing protocols. We are resetting our intentions. We are calming the body's response, and the flame works every single time for this. So, another thing to consider, I've written a whole lot of stuff here, so I will go over these things. This is how my mind works, folks. loop versus spiral growth. Is this a test, or is this a trap, right? So a loop is, as I said, the same scenario, the same role, same thing coming up. The body feels smaller, tighter. It has this darker energy afterwards. You leave thinking, how am I back here again? Like, why is this happening? The other person or the situation, it doesn't change at all. It's only the intensity, right? A spiral, a true growth cycle, feels like the theme repeats, but you respond slightly differently. That's what I was saying. No, the answer's no. I have to do this. I'll catch you next time. You're changing the subject. Let's bring it back to what I came here to speak to you about. And it's like, you know, you're not being mean or anything. You're being, you're defining what your boundaries are. You're saying, without saying to somebody, no, that's not the way that I work anymore. This is the new me. Respect it, or the door's shut, right? Even if it's painful, you feel wider, clearer, more self-respect afterwards. And people respect someone who respects themselves. It's as simple as that. You leave thinking, oh my God, that was okay. But I did something. I did something new. I answered in a way that I would never normally answer. And it feels good. It feels empowering when you do this. And you're not being, no means like I'm telling people to go out there and start being a jerk for no reason. I'm saying the way that you answer has to be who you are now, right? You cannot go back and forth, because you will really stress yourself out. The external world subtly adjusts. So someone respects this boundary. As I said, a dynamic loosens. Your body feels less triggered this time, and actually over time, don't get it anymore. So people say, why am I being tested again? The answer is, you're not being tested if you to see if you fail, right? You're being shown whether this is still a loop or already becoming a spiral. If you're doing exactly the same response as you did last time, it's a loop. If you make even 10% of a different choice, it's becoming a spiral, and this is in a good spiral sense. So some of the types of loops that you might be seeing right now is the same argument with the same person or the same type of person. It might always end up in you comforting them or apologizing or doubting yourself or not wanting any conflict. The role assigned there is the fixer, the problem, the too much, the person who's too much. So your question is, what version of me do they keep talking to, and do I still exist there? Okay. A lot of people have got that particular loop. It's a relationship loop. Money loop is another one. Income goes up and then something happens, a bill, an emergency, a mistake, and it drops again. You alternate between hope and dread. The role assigned is the struggling healer, the undervalued one, the rescuer. The flame question here is, where do I keep agreeing that being powerful means being broke or chaotic? Okay. Where do I keep agreeing that being powerful means being broke or chaotic? Third one, service or mission loop. Bursts of inspiration, then burnout, silence, self-doubt. Launching something, there might be no response, it's slow, or it crashes, or it disappears, right? And you have to restart all over again. The role assigned, the invisible one, the misunderstood prophet, the never ready one, the one that everybody rejects. So the flame question, whose expectations am I secretly trying to meet? Mine or an old authority? Okay. Who do you think approves of what you're doing? If many of you have father issues, or were abandoned, rejected, or scorned, or beaten, or abused, or hated by males, your father, then you think that spirit is the same as your father, as the man in your life. You think that spirit rejects you, God rejects you, whoever it is, the universe rejects you, right? Because you're seeing that as the same role as your father, who's supposed to be the protector, right? If there's a sense that you're supposed to be looked after by the universe and your dad didn't do it, you're going to subconsciously believe, okay, that somehow there's a punishment going on because you didn't meet some kind of expectation, or you didn't meet some kind of role that was assigned to you by the one who was supposed to protect you. Okay, so therefore there's a subconscious view that you are going to be abandoned by God, spirits, angels. And so when something happens with regards to money, or no one's watching, or no one's helping you, or people treating you badly, a part of you has assigned that role to what the universe provides you. And if you're not enough, the universe is not giving it to you because of that. Heal that, because you're trying to meet expectations or please the universe, or what, and then you don't actually believe that they're even going to give you anything anyway. That you're always going to be you're always going to be a victim of some kind. You're always going to be left behind. Everybody else is doing it, but not you, because you're hated by God or something, or you're scorned or something. It's because your father treated you this way, in one way or another. And I've seen it over and over and over and over again. Every time that someone has a mishap or a stressful situation, they start to feel like they're in trouble, and that's why it's happening. It's the same feeling you may have had with disappointment from your father, even if you didn't do anything to disappoint anybody. That's just who they were, whatever, right? So, whose expectations are you secretly trying to meet? An old authority, your dad, a person in power, a person in authority, God, the universe, the angels? Are you trying to make it so that you are gaining favor there? Is that the real thing? Is that why you feel like you're not being supported? This is just a question, right? As well. People who have had a lot of rejection in their life will strive to do more, from what I've experienced, than anybody I've ever known. They will go up, above, and beyond anything that their job description ever gave them, to try, in a sense, to feel like they've done enough, because of the rejections so harshly of the past, that they've tried to bypass this with doing more than the ordinary average bear would do, right? And then they have, unfortunately, a sense of resentment when it's not acknowledged or not noticed, and that bitterness can set in. If you have a bitterness energy, and if you continue down a bitterness pathway for yourself, guaranteed you're going to end up with some kind of liver issue. Something is going to happen there, because the body cannot handle bitterness and self-hate and self-rejection. The body will turn into a child who has been scolded by someone they love deeply, and they never would have expected it from them. And the body responds in sadness, and it responds in lack of life. And if you are constantly dealing with emotions such as this, your body will respond, and will continue to respond in a bad way, until you start acknowledging those things, the deeper levels of them, and change them into a new way. Then your body responds to the new way very quickly. Okay. So the health loop, okay, the body loop. This is when you want to feel better, then you stop caring for the body, you crash or have a flare up, panic, overcorrect, repeat. So this is the broken body, the burden, the too sensitive one. So it's a pattern of abusing the self. So what part of your identity still needs you to be unwell, to be justified or needed? Okay. There are some people who their story is an illness, and if it's not that one, it's another one. If it's not that one, it's another one, and it's to gain attention from somebody, and or punish somebody in some way. Please notice me, and when they don't, it gets worse and worse and worse. Okay. So what part of the identity still needs me to be unwell to feel justified or needed? Right? And where did this come from? When did it begin? What was going on in your life when the problem happened? And do you identify as being broken, right, because of it? Because that in itself holds a lot of energy too. So the spiritual guide loop. You find a teacher, you find a modality, you get on a high, and then you feel discomfort or some red flags, and then you deny it, and then a crisis, and then you leave, and then you repeat the same thing with a new teacher. Or you keep getting different readings that all end the same way. Soon, you're almost there, one more thing. So this is the permanent student, the unready one, the one who must prove worth. Okay? Now, again, mimics can make you also believe that someone who is a good fit may not be, because they are nice or they are good, or and then your brain starts doubting the whole thing, right? This happens. So this is why your internal flame and your mirror flame, extremely important for discernment. So you may just continue in this loop of being a student. I know someone who's been studying for probably close to 40 years and it doesn't stop. It's like, well, aren't you going to share this with us? You've got all this knowledge. Like, what is it for if you keep on learning more? When are you going to be ready? Because you become ready by doing, not because of someone else's magic wand on your head saying, okay, you can do it now. You've got to decide, you know. So where did I agree that my power must be given by someone outside of me? So mimics use these loops, as I was just saying. Mimic fields love them because they're predictable, they are emotional, they are story-based, right? They don't always cause the original wound, but they attach to it. They amplify the triggers. They distort your perception. So you can't see neutral reality. You only see evidence that fits the loop. They reward the loop. Little hints of adrenaline, martyrdom, self-righteousness, or spiritual specialness. So from your flame, Shadow Earth keeps old roles on repeat, so the real flame never stabilizes. This is what we need to also acknowledge. It's not your job to fight every mimic directly, but to help people remove the fuel source, right? This is what you're doing by changing your response and reclaiming the flame. Once you've done this, you'll be able to pass this on. Okay. All right. So we've done the breath techniques. We've noticed if things pop up. I have to fix it. I need to get them to like me. I have to prove my worth. If it doesn't go well, I've failed. You know, all of the things that we talk. And we put down what that old role is, and we ignite and reveal a new role for ourselves that is more beneficial to us. There are going to be things in our life, unfortunately, no matter how powerful you are, no matter how wonderful you are at getting it together, there are still going to be things, as I said to you before, that blindside us, right? That put us in a position of backpedaling or into stress. And I recently told you about a phone call with my son last week, and the father was demanding, screaming at my son to get me on the phone because they were arguing, and somehow I was supposed to either calm all the whole situation down, or gang up on my son or something that I don't know what he thought, because I wouldn't be on his side, or even take sides, or even have any involvement in their drama. Now, I love my son, right? And I will help him if he comes to me, but I'm not being dragged into the drama with his old man, right? Who's having a problem with my son being confrontational and defending himself. That's his problem to deal with. But it was like trying to be, and it brought up inside of me like anger more than anything. Like, how dare you try to disrupt my peace? Like, leave me alone. I don't have to have anything to do with you. And I was very clear with that, but it gets you into that trigger point of like, ugh, like why would that come in? And when you start to understand that you're like my old, if I wanted to talk about my old reaction, I probably would have got on the phone and given him a mouthful and told him, you know what? This time I'm like, he doesn't get to talk to me at all. Like, why would I waste my time and energy? So that was a different reaction. And my son was saying, I did try to call you, but it was like 2:00 in the morning. He goes, I really feel bad that, I don't think he'll do that again. But I am not going to answer to something I do not want to answer, or someone I do not want to give the time of day to. Why would I then go, okay, well, I need to defend my kid here, so I'm going to say something. No. Less is more. Less is more. As with your answers to people, the answer is no. You don't want to do something, there's no explanation needed. Can't come, don't go. Don't want to go, don't care, right? In fact, you will become very strong the less people you have in your circle. I know people who have to have friends around them the whole time. They have to have it. They have to have that thing. And it's like, why? What is the benefit? Because the more interactions that you have in groups, the more chances of all of this energy going haywire, right? The more chances of the looping and the getting called into something you don't want to do and all of that sort of stuff. And I get it, when we're young, we want to hang out with our friends. We're not working on our mastery. We're working on when we're going to have a drink or a party or, have a joint. Whatever we're doing, we want to have fun, right? We consider that to be fun, right? A letdown, letting down your hair kind of thing. But as you mature and you start to focus on in a different way in order to have the best life for yourself, to not have the physical problems that people your age have, to not have the mental health issues that people constantly rave on about now, to not have things that you're fighting about with others, then your peace, your inner peace and your outer peace is extremely important. I get enough conversations with people I speak to over the phone, or my friends that I have for a really long time, or clients, right? I get enough interaction where I don't need the extra, right? I don't need any extra than that, right? And everybody's different, but the smaller your circle becomes, the stronger you become. And you really do have to focus on your energy becoming the most powerful it can be. Therefore, you're not going to be blindsided in your life, And if something does happen that's shocking or out of the ordinary or stressful, you can step by step navigate your way through. So I wanted to speak with you about this loop stuff a little bit and what it means. There are other protocols for it as well. And as always, if you do feel inclined to become a patron, if you become a Flame Tier patron, you have access to monthly live webinars, and they'll be on different subjects, as well as behind the scenes stuff, flame talk, declarations, things that others don't get. If you want to do something like that, I would love to have you. Also, there will be more things coming in more of a structured, sequential way at thetempleoftheflame.com. There are some free courses there in the old methods. We're opening the doorway to these new methods, so there'll be some foundational series coming up with some easy steps to navigate your way through the flame until we start getting into some really exciting stuff. So let me know what you think of this video. Has it helped you? Have you created a journal for yourself? What things are you working on in your life that you're really noticing a difference? Okay, I will see you in the next video. And until the next time, bye for now.